Dear students, welcome to course on Statistical Methods for Psychological Research Part 2. In this lesson, we are going to learn about alternative hypothesis with respect to one-tailed and two-tailed test and steps for hypothesis testing. After fixing the research topic, the research work always moves in the direction guided by the chart below. Write the research questions. Frame the objectives of the research work. Construct the research hypothesis. What is research question? The aspects you want to probe in your research must be listed as questions. For every research question, the researcher needs to find answers. Ultimately, the answers must be interpreted in the conclusion. Guidelines to write the research questions. No informal statements, single or multiple questions. Objectives. Combine the research questions and formulate the objectives. Illustration. Always the research question begins with 2. The second term is the purpose, and here we start with 2 and the purpose is described. In this question, we start with 2 and the purpose is assess the impact of. In the third, to study the existence of relationship between. Important note, researchers should not proceed until the objectives are clearly noted. Example. Now I am going to give you an example, and for this research area is healthcare. In the healthcare, I have selected the research topic, a study on the prevalence of obesity among the college students. For this purpose, I have framed the research questions. They are: how are the respondents distributed based on sex and community? What percentage of college students are affected by obesity? Whether sex has any association with obesity? How height and weights are functionally related? Construct a mathematical model for prediction purpose. Based on that model, estimate the height for the given weight of 54.5 kg. Do the male and female differ with respect to average height? Can we take the average height of a person as 162 centimeter? Find whether the new food good health is effective in increasing weight. Whether the average weight of different communities can be taken as equal. These are the research questions which I have framed for this research problem. Question 2. What is the research hypothesis? A hypothesis in research is a tentative statement or proposition that is subjected to empirical verification through sample data, or it is the perception of the researcher about the characteristics of the population parameter under study. Question number 3. When does the researcher need to frame the hypothesis and go for hypothesis testing? Since a statement is verified, the end result may be either true or false. If the hypothesis is true, it is accepted, otherwise it is rejected. Thumb rule. That is how to decide whether the hypothesis to frame or not. For each research question, look at the format of the final answer. If the answer ends as dichotomous, that is yes or no, accept or reject, true or false, then you must frame the research hypothesis. and get the acceptability of your hypothesis through the hypothesis testing procedure. Now, as an example, here I have given 2 energy drinks, and in that I want to know which one is a better energy drink. Now, there are 3 possibilities. Drink A may be better than B, or drink B may be better than A, or both of them have the same effect. And these things are our research hypothesis. A researcher must take any one of these hypotheses as his research hypothesis. Will energy drink A increase the energy level? Therefore, here we have considered an energy drink A. Now, 2 perceptions are there. This energy drink A may increase the energy level, or the energy drink A may not increase the level. Now, here the researcher take one of these 2 as his research hypothesis. There are other situations also where hypotheses are needed. One situation is studying the impact of independent variable, which is denoted by IV, on the dependent variable, which is denoted by dV. Suppose if we come across such type of problem, then in statistics we must go for the causal models. Now, I am going to illustrate with an example. Suppose if my research question is cell phone usage impact the students' academic performance. That is, nowadays students are using cell phone quite often. Therefore, because of that, whether the academic performance is affected or not, that is my intention, that is formed as my research question. And for this we have to construct a model. A model is nothing but an equation. Here this equation consists of an independent variable and dependent variable. The study is what is the impact of independent variable x on the dependent variable y. What it tells, when you study, finally you get answer for 2 questions. Is there any impact of IV on dV? If so, what is the intensity? These 2 questions will be answered by this type of study. And another situation is forecasting or research, that is prediction. The researcher needs to go for mathematical models. As an example, suppose if one wants to know how the growth pattern of corona disease in India, or another problem is estimate the population of India in 2025. Now, we are in 2023, but the question is what would be the population in 2025. Therefore, here we have to estimate the population. For that, we are constructing a mathematical model, and using that suitable model, we are going to estimate what would be the expected population in the year 2025. Types of hypothesis. In general, the types of hypothesis can be classified into 2. One is statistical hypothesis and another one is research hypothesis. Now, in this video, we are focusing on research hypothesis. Therefore, the type of research hypothesis are hypothesis of no difference, hypothesis of difference, hypothesis of point prevalence, hypothesis of association, whereas the alternative hypothesis and null hypothesis are statistical hypothesis that will be studied later. Types of research hypothesis. One type is called comparison. While comparison, we form the hypothesis as hypothesis of no difference or status quo continues. In another type of comparison hypothesis, we write our hypothesis as hypothesis of difference or change in any direction or positive direction or negative direction. The third type of hypothesis is point prevalence. Here we are assigning a value to the population parameter which may be equal or greater than or less than a specified value. The fourth type of hypothesis is a relationship between the variables under study. For example, we take two variables, income and savings. Now, the research hypothesis is when income increases, saving also increases. Another hypothesis example is Indian population growth exponentially. Now, population of India grows. The question is whether it grows exponentially. Broadly, we have seen three categories of hypothesis a researcher will come across: research hypothesis, null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis are statistical hypotheses that we are going to study in later. I am confident that you understood all the concepts. We will continue in the next video. Thank you.